Before the video starts, make sure to watch the previous part to understand this part. Previous part link in the description. Let's begin. Alita and Sihon look at the window and wonder why those people, who look like they're just about to break in, are here. Alita says they should prepare for any battle then, and catching Sihon off guard, she hurriedly undresses herself. He exclaims at her in question, to which she justifies she can't fight in pajamas, so she is changing, and so should he. Sihon stands there confused about the woman who was extremely awkward just a while ago at only the thought of being in the same room as him. The ivory tower Magayon Haland asks Prayer Roman if it was necessary to call all those soldiers since Lusklin blood has gotten thin and weaker, and there have been no traces found of any otherworldly summoning, but Roman is still cautious that they might have to deal with a beast from the otherworld, so it's better to be prepared. Roman is confident that nothing can defeat them from there, while Haland clenches his teeth thinking on how the tower is paying for all the expense of this. Bright comes to the gates questioning the audacity of those people to charge at the family of a peaceful noble, and the people who worship the moon at this late an hour. Roman mocks Bright for talking about being noble and mentioning their temple when he's been hiding a Lusklin blood at his residence. Everyone's shocked at Roman's statement, but more than that, Alita is scared that she's been found out and all this chaos is being caused because of her. Roman keeps throwing insults at the blood and warns it, pointing with his sword, that there's no more running away, so he should surrender. But his sword isn't pointing at Alita, it's pointing at Duran. Everyone is stunned at the revelation of Duran being a Lusklin blood. Duran, trying to hide his nervousness, mentions being of the same Brian clan as the Berserk Emperor but not being the descendant of Lusklin. Bright has a hard time digesting all this and exclaims of it being a misunderstanding, and just because someone has blonde hair does not make them a Lusklin blood, because that way even Alita would be the same. Alita gets nervous at the unintended and unrevealed truth coming out of Bright's mouth, but Roman is not having it with all the denial and arguments. Haland asks Duran to surrender if he wants to prove his innocence. Everyone watches this quietly while Dina feels sad of the guys she was impressed with belonging to the cursed bloodline. Not having any other option in sight, Duran takes out his sword and aims it at Bright, warning everyone to stay back if they'll see the successor of Amith family beheaded. He has no plans of wanting to get caught, while Roman Mock laughs at Duran for finally showing his true colors. He isn't fazed by a hostage situation, but Haland knows not to mess with the Amith family. Meanwhile, Duran apologizes to Bright and tells him that this way nobody would doubt and question him and his family. He then pushes Bright to ground and runs away, jumping across the wall. The soldiers charge at him and begin chasing him. Alita, not being able to hold back, hurriedly follows them, leaving everyone confused. Sihon follows Alita, telling Xion to keep an eye on Dina. Xion, misunderstanding the statement, simply holds the young girl to keep her with him and chases the two, leaving a distraught Bright on ground. Duran defends himself from the attacks of the soldiers and tries to reason that he hasn't done anything wrong, but Roman attacks him and corners him, telling him he'll have a fair trial and their goddess will decide his fate, but Duran knows nothing of that sort would actually ever happen. He tells them if there's no other way, then he can't help but do something he really didn't want to. Roman is confused at what Duran is saying and down, but the next move produces a big flash of light. Sihon catches up to Alita, asking why she just took off, to which she responds of not thinking much, but feeling some familiarity with the real name of Duran. They both halt speechless at the sight in front of them. Also, quick reminder as we are going through the recap, if you are new to the channel, around 52% of viewers are watching are not already subscribed, and if that's you and you want to guarantee you're always up to date with all good content like this, so feel free to hit that subscribe button and join us on the road to 1 million subs. And if you enjoy the video or if you found it interesting, let me know by dropping a like and comment on it as well, would be seriously appreciated. Let's continue. In trying to save himself, the only solution Duran could come up with was summoning an otherworldly monster. Even though he did it because of not being able to think of any other option, it serves as an even more negative point in sight of the people against him. He stands on top of the monster's brain and controls it to move, throwing the soldiers away from him. They all panic while Roman tries to reason them that they are their goddess's blade and are in her protection, so they shouldn't fear. The soldiers agree and get ready to fight, since for their country and for their families, thinking this could become a situation similar to the era of Berserk Emperor. The knights attack the monster in different ways, trying to defeat it, but it's not very helpful. Haaland clenches his teeth in regret and annoyance of thinking this situation could never occur and not bringing enough help. But his companion tells him to focus on the way they can help even if their magic does not work on otherworldly monsters. They block the escape route of Duran and the monster while the knights and prayer Roman attack it. Alita is witnessing such a sight for the first time in her life. The most powerful knights, prayer and Magians are fighting their best and it's only working enough to stop the movements of the monster and not defeat it. She questions if all the monsters by the Emperor used to be that strong, to which Seo replies with an of course not. Alita thinks of it obvious that such strong monsters are hard to defeat, but Seo cuts her off, telling her that this weak of a monster could easily be taken care of by only Gord. And if all the monsters summoned by the Berserk Emperor were this weak, they wouldn't have needed to fight this hard. Alita just looks at him dumbfounded, since the sight in front of her seems hard to defeat when Seo faced much worse than that and won. Zeon catches up to them with a confused Dina weirdly hanging in his arms. Seo is confused at both of them being there, so he questions Zeon, who actually took Seo's statement to watch Dina, quite literally, so he brought her there. Duran warns the soldiers to stop the attacks since he does not have intentions of harming anyone and just wants to get away safe, but his control over the monster is losing with time. Zeon is surprised at no one being harmed yet, while Seo tells him that Duran is probably controlling the monster and has no intention of harming anyone. Alita is frustrated at this and loses her cool on why is everyone fighting if the soldiers or Duran both don't have any bad intentions. She is annoyed at how being the descendant of the Berserk Emperor is considered such a huge sin. Duran, on the other hand, keeps panicking since the monster's movements are out of his control now and it has started to harm the soldiers and kill them. A knight, Lao Fin, mocks him for finally showing his true ill intentions by summoning a monster and having it kill the soldiers. He's brutally killed by the monster the next moment. His companion tries to cut off the tentacles of the monster, but the blood of the monster falling on his skin acts like poison and burns him. Roman realizes that the monster has suddenly gotten stronger and realizes that it has been holding its true strength. He's unaware that it was actually Duran who was holding the strength of the monster by controlling it. Roman is frustrated for underestimating the situation and not calling for enough help while Duran tries to stop him, since the monster isn't in his control, but it's too late and the monster traps Roman and is about to attack it with its other tentacle, but just on time that tentacle is slashed by the sword of none other than Seo. Everyone is shocked by this. Seo offers to help but asks Roman to evacuate the place first. Zeon had told Seo that he will go and drop Dina off to a safer location. Seo agrees and tells him to hurry since he has to intervene in the chaos in front of him and would need Zeon's help for it. Seo is about to rush ahead but is stopped midway by a tense Alita who wants a way that can save the situation and let Duran escape, as well. Seo is understanding of her situation but tries to tell her that if they do anything to save a Lusklin blood at the moment, the amount of eyes witnessing it would make them look suspicious, ending up in danger for Alita herself. Alita asks then they only need the situation that no one can watch and she can help make it possible to block everyone's vision, for a bit. Roman sits on ground amazed by the amount of fighting energy he just witnessed. He's about to relate it to that of the otherworldly savior but not wanting his doubt to get stronger. Seo timely cuts him off, telling him he's a disciple of the mercenary king Barak. Roman drops his doubts understanding a Barak's disciple to have such amazing amount of fighting energy. Seo asks Roman to evacuate the soldiers to a safer place since it's dangerous for them while he can take care of the monster and the situation. Roman tries to decline retreating since they are servants of the goddess and it's their duty and honor to fight in the battle and not surrender. Seo reasons that honor may be very important but it can never exceed the importance of human life. Roman thinks for a moment and Seo's words settle sense in him and he agrees that it will be dishonorable to the lives of those soldiers to keep on fighting like that. He requests Seo to stall for some time while he evacuates the place. Seo smirks after the soldiers are gone and looks towards the monster. He feels a rush of adrenaline as he's facing a Lusklin's monster after 10 years. Duran is scared for Seo getting hurt and tries to warn him to back off since the monster wants to attack him. Duran worries since the monster is out of his control and he has no idea about who actually Seo is. Meanwhile, Seo stands there confident and easily dodges the attacks of the monster. He then uses Tyrant King art to cut off tentacles of the monsters while a huge amount of fighting energy is exhibiting from him. Duran is shocked by the amount of strength Seo holds since he knows that he is a sword higher of a knight rank and this skill is too fine for someone of that rank. Seo notices how the tentacles keep regenerating every time he cuts them off and knows that Tyrant King art is not suitable for this monster and sky-breaking art or dragon sword energy would be more convenient to successfully attack this monster. Only, he can't use those if he doesn't want his identity to be questioned. He wonders what to do when Zeon brings him out of his thoughts informing him he's reached to help. Seo smiles at Zeon, casually joking that he's late. He tells Zeon that he needs his help in taking care of the tentacles of the monster. Zeon gets super motivated to finally use his Tyrant King art in a real battle. He starts attacking the monster's tentacles and enjoys using his skills while getting used to it, but Seo just stands there looking at him with a blank face, not being able to comprehend the situation in front of him. He questions the skill Zeon is using since it's neither Tyrant King art nor mountain breaking art, and Zeon seems to be charging like a boar and then stinging like a bee in his attacks. He finds Zeon's swordsmanship weird with this fighting technique. Seo deduces that Tyrant King art is not a technique that complements Zeon's personality, which is why he's created his own version of the technique and thinks it's not a problem since Zeon seems to be fighting well with whatever that is. Seo then mentally calculates the situation around him. The bystanders are gone, Duran seems to be fine, and the monster's tentacles are tied and its mind is focused on dealing with Zeon. So all his checkmarks have been achieved to finally attack the monster. He moved behind the monster, finding the perfect blind spot of it. He uses his dragon sword energy to freeze the monster's flesh and movements. Successful in his plan, he calls out to Alita to make use of her part now while Duran just stands on top flabbergasted at the situation in front of him. Alita then uses magic on ground, shocking Duran even more. The monster's taken down by her magic while the dust caused by the magic hinders the sight of the soldiers for enough time for her to sneak Duran out of sight. Seo is satisfied at them beating the otherworldly monster and mentally wishes Duran luck in running away from the situation. Duran and Alita are running away, but Alita seems to be losing her stamina since she used her energy on the magic she casted before. Duran is very confused about the whole scenario and just questions her on why they are helping him and saving him when he has Lusklin blood. He tries to warn her of all this being dangerous to her, but Alita sits with support of a while, short of breath, telling Duran to run away before anyone catches him. Seeing a huffed Alita sitting on the ground rings a bell in Duran's mind, and a memory of tiny Alita sitting on ground similarly flashes in front of his eyes. That's when he identifies Alita as Seraphina's daughter, also Lusklin blood, while Alita just looks at him, not denying it. He feels happy for a moment on her being alive too, but his happiness is cut short by the intense situation at hand, and he tells her that there's no time to be happy about the reunion and he wants to share something very important with Alita before he takes off. Alita is confused at what could be so important when Duran whispers something in her ear, shocking enough to have her eyes wide at it. She stammers in confusion of what he just told her while Duran smiles lightly at her, requesting her on whatever he said, and putting his trust in her. Suddenly a sword shoots through Duran's chest, cutting the reunion reel short and splattering the innocent boy's blood all over, leaving a stunned Alita behind. Subscribe to watch more videos like these, turn on notifications, and leave a like and comment to help the channel out. Thank you for watching and see you on the next part.